Hi viewers, welcome to the Grammar Channel. Today we are going to learn about the lesson Lost Spring. Lost Spring written by Anis Jung. Anis Jung is an Indian woman writer, journalist and columnist for major newspapers in India and abroad. She was born at Hyderabad and received education in Hyderabad and in the United States. Her parents were renowned poets and she has written several notable books. The characters Sahib A. Alam, a rag picker, and Mukesh, son of bangle maker. We are going to see about these two characters in the lesson Lost Spring. The story Lost Spring describes the pitiable condition of poor children who have been forced to miss the joy of childhood due to the socio-economic condition that prevails in the man-made world. These children are denied the opportunity of schooling and forced into labor early in life. Anis gives voice to eliminate child labor by educating the children and to enforce the laws against child labor by the government strictly. The call is to end child exploitation and let the children enjoy the days of the spring that bring joy under their feet. In this story, Lost Spring, the author unveils the utter destitution of the rag pickers of Simapuri and the bangle makers of Firozabad. The story describes the grinding poverty and traditions that compel the children to live a life of exploitation. The first part, sometimes I find a rupee in the garbage. This part tells the writer's impressions about the life of the poor rag pickers. The rag pickers have migrated from Dhaka and found a settlement in Simapuri. Their fields and homes had been swept away by storms. They had come to the big city to find a living. They are poor. The writer watches Sahib every morning roaming around for gold in her neighborhood. Garbage is a means of survival for the elders, and for the children, it is something wrapped in wonder. The children come across a coin or two from it. These people have desires and ambitions, but they do not know the way to achieve them. There are quite a few things that are unreachable to them, namely shoes, tennis, and the like. Later, Sahib joins a tea stall where he could earn 800 rupees and all the meals. The job has taken away his freedom. The second part, I want to drive a car. This part deals with the life of Mukesh, who belongs to the family of bangle makers. Firozabad is the best known for its glass blowing industry. Nearly 20,000 children are engaged in this business, and the law that forbids child labor is not known here. The living conditions and the working environment is a woeful tale. Life in diggy cells and working close to hot furnaces make these children blind when they step into adulthood. Weighed down by the debt, they can neither think nor find a way to come out of this trap. The politicians, middlemen, policemen, and bureaucrats will all obstruct their way of progress. The women in the household consider it as their fate and just follow the tradition. Mukesh is different from the rest of the folk here. He dreams of becoming a motor mechanic. The garage is far away from his house, but he shall walk. Comes across Mukesh in Firozabad. Let's move on to the summary. Sahib, the son of a migrant family from Dhaka, is a rag picker who lives in Simapuri at the junction of Delhi and goes about barefoot, rummaging around in the heaps of garbage to earn his livelihood. For the children like Sahib, a heap of garbage is like a gold mine. Thousands of such children live with their families in Simapuri. They live in a slum with not even the basic amenities such as water, sanitation available to them. These families are living in utter poverty. The children have nothing to do except rag picking, through which they earn something to eat at least. Garbage to the elders is a means of survival. The children, it is a magical wonder. In order to earn better, Sahib starts working at a tea stall where he was paid rupees 800 a month with full meals. But his freedom was lost. He works for someone else and is no longer his own master. This loss of identity weighs heavily on his tender shoulders. Anis Jung then tells about Mukesh, another young boy who wants to be his own master. He is a boy from Firozabad's glass industry, and as a family tradition, he has always worked in the glass bangle factory. Here, the children work in close proximity to furnaces in such high temperatures that they are exposed to various health hazards, even losing their eyesight. Mukesh's family, like other families of Firozabad, are victims of poverty. His father is blind and they live in a small, half constructed house. These people of Firozabad are exploited by the sahkars, the middlemen, the policemen, and the bureaucrats, and the politicians. Mukesh is different and confident. He wants to become a motor mechanic. In the story, author brings out the depravity of child labor. Childhood is considered the spring of human life, full of joy, pleasure, and play. But ironically, millions of children like Sahib and Mukesh have lost their spring, that is, the childhood, by getting engaged in making a living. The chapter highlights Sometimes I find a rupee in the garbage. The author examines and analyzes the impoverished conditions and traditions that condemn children to a life of exploitation. These children are denied education and forced into hardships early in their lives. The writer encounters Sahib, a rag picker whose parents have left behind the life of poverty in Dhaka to earn a living in Delhi. His family, like many other families of rag pickers, live in Simapuri. They do not have their identification other than a ration card. The children do not go to school and they are excited at the prospect of finding a coin or even a 10 rupee note for rummaging in the garbage. It is the only way of earning. The writer is pained to see Sahib, a rag picker, whose name means the ruler of earth, lose the spark of childhood and roams barefooted with his friends. From morning to noon, the author encounters him in a tea stall and is paid just 800 rupees. He sadly realizes that he is no longer his own master, and this loss of identity weighs heavily on his shoulder. The part 2, I Want to Drive a Car. Author then tells about another victim, Mukesh, who wants to become a motor mechanic. He always worked in the glass making industry. They are exposed to various health hazards like losing their eyesight, and they work in different conditions in dark and dingy cells. Mukesh's father is blind as were his grandfather before him. So burdened are the bangle makers of Firozabad that they have lost their ability to dream, unlike Mukesh, who dreams of driving a car and become a motor mechanic. Conclusion. The author Anis Jung strives hard to eliminate child labor through her book. She propagates the education of children and enforcement of strict laws against child labor by the government. The message is to put an end to child exploitation and let all the children enjoy their days of the spring and joy.